Welcome along to Monaco. This is Friday, the lay day on a 5-day F1 weekend. So I thought I'd give you a rundown on what's happened over the first 2 days here in one of the most glorious places you could ever want to be. More in a second. Well, 8 actually. First up, Monaco is incredible. Some people say it's a sunny place for shady people, and there is certainly a lot of money here. I think every 10th car I see is probably a luxury marque, and everything is expensive. Taxis, if you go a 1.5 kilometre journey, that's about 15 euros, and if there's heavy traffic, you'll pay more than that. But the Principality is small. It has a land border of just 5.47 kilometres and a coastline of just under 4 kilometres. At its widest, it's 1,700 metres. At its thinnest, it's just 349 metres. I'm actually standing here in Beausoleil, which is just on the border of Monaco, but quite frankly, with the number 1 driver, I'd be able to hit a ball onto the track from where I'm standing. The reason I love Monaco photographically is simply because of the richness. Often we'll have beautiful sunlight. You've got a harbour out there which is absolutely stunning, and there's so much money floating in that harbour. This one, I believe, is Lawrence Stroll's boat. Fair size. But a lot of these boats are huge and could have 22 staff to look after 2 people. What I have noticed, because I walk to and from the track, is the abundance of F1 related advertising. You've got bus backs with Aston Martins and McLarens being promoted. You've got the F1 drivers on billboards everywhere. Charles Leclerc is on many, and he is big. Of course, he's the hometown hero, so it makes sense to be using him in the marketing. In numerous videos, I've mentioned the fact that we get very close to the cars. And a couple of points, swimming pool, the exit of swimming pool. Here I was shooting yesterday. Martin Brundle was actually doing a live cross, and I know a lot of you people spotted me on television and sent me through pictures. Thank you for that. But it allows us, this particular spot, to get within, say, 60 centimetres of the car's tyres. Now, admittedly, they're not doing a couple of 100 kilometres an hour, but they'll still be doing 80 or 90, and they touch that Armco barrier with their tyres. At the chicane, we can sit and shoot from the ground with nothing in between us and the cars. But we're supremely safe because obviously a car cannot do a 180-degree turn at that point. But here's one of the Getty photographers lying on his stomach to get that super low angle, and that allows you to see underneath the car if that's the shot you're looking for. But for the first practice session yesterday, I headed to the exit of the tunnel because I know this shot and I love it. It allows us on a bright day, and that's important, it must be bright and sunny. If it's a cloudy day, there's not enough contrast between the light on the car as it exits the tunnel and the darkness of the tunnel. So as they come out, you snap them, then you get this lovely black background with a line of lights. And the shots, I loved them, especially the first one I took of Lando coming out of the tunnel. And I put that shot up within probably 5 minutes of taking it. Yes, I probably missed 5 laps, which is maybe 100 cars. But I got that photo up quickly, and that's been one of my most popular shots in the last few weeks. And with rightly so too, because that car I thought looked magnificent, and I'd like to see it at more races in that Gulf oil livery. But to get that shot, I'm actually sitting on the ground shooting through the top gap in the Armco. It's uncomfortable, and it's almost like you're doing core exercises because of the way you sit for some time. And I have the camera nearly touching the Armco, shooting through the gap at about 1,000th of a second, and panning slightly just so I get the car sharp. And often I'll be pelted with black rubber coming off the tyres, and it's hot. And the other place I shot at yesterday that is very close to the action is the corner after the exit of swimming pool, when they come straight towards me, and I hope they turn away at the last second. And I'll shoot them quite tight in the frame, but as they get within about 15 metres of me, I always shy away because they are just that close, and you hope they don't come banging into that barrier. Here's something new. You can now buy Kim Illman merchandise. That's right, there's a link here on my YouTube page somewhere. T-shirts and other stuff, as you can see here. But I'd love to see a picture of you wearing one, and perhaps I'll feature you on my story. Let's go back to Wednesday, media day. Normally Thursday, but we had drivers arriving on boats, we had them arriving on scooters, motorcycles, and perhaps even a couple on foot who'd been dropped off by car. One of the first in was Fernando Alonso on a scooter. Completely missed him. He was dressed in civvies, he had a helmet on. I had no idea it was him. I was only lucky that he waved at me as he went to go through the swipe gate. And I got a couple of frames of him here. Carlos Sainz came in on a scooter, a 3-wheeler. Impressive looking Piaggio, I believe it was. He also came in with his trainer Rupert, who had one, and his manager Carlos Honoro. The trouble was there were cars blocking where he wanted to go. So for several minutes he was umming and ahhing as to where he would go. In the end he went back and came down a footpath and then turned around to avoid the gate. Just managed to get through. The beauty of that for me was that I got a variety of shots and time to move around and get the best light. Now, that rarely happens in Formula One. Lewis Hamilton came in on two wheels, and I suspected that might happen, and I was standing out at Rascasse waiting for drivers to do their track walks. Then I see this police motorcycle with its lights on, and I immediately got my camera out thinking it's probably an escort for someone, and sure enough, two bikes came through, and Lewis was on the second one, and Angela Cullen, his physio riding pillion passenger. But I can't tell you with any great certainty who the first rider was. But I did take some shots of them going away from me and realised it was a female because of the long hair, and I'm going to guess it was Penny Tho, his new manager on the team. If you're flying economy, remember that the armrest of your seat can often be raised. All you need to do is find a button that's underneath, clip it, flip it up, and you've suddenly got a little bit more room. Or if you're sitting on an aisle, you can get out of your seat without having to raise your tray table. Given COVID, I was unsure whether the drivers would do track walks, but many of them did. Yuki Tsunoda did here, and as you can see, they have to share the road with cars. Now that doesn't happen at any other track where normal road cars are out there, so they need to have their wits about them. George Russell did his track walk on a bike, and I think he might have done 2 laps because I just saw him at the last second going past here. And then when he came back, he stopped and signed a few autographs. In Monaco, to get from the paddock to the pit lane, there's a fair walk and you have to go over a bridge, and there is only one way to get to the pit lane, and that is via that bridge. So it meant that we could stand out on the track here, which is essentially the entry into pit lane, and with a long lens shoot everybody coming out of that tunnel, which was great because we got a cavalcade of people in nice light without having to move around. Some of the drivers signed autographs and posed for selfies with locals, a couple of locals bringing their dogs along and having selfies done with the drivers. Oh, and there was one kid, he would have been about 14 I think, and he was behind the fence, and when Lewis came over, because we were tipped off that Lewis would be wearing something interesting, which he was, and he rode in on the bike in this colourful outfit. He came over the bridge, there was a handful of photographers shooting him, and then this kid here in the red, he just darts across, jumps the fence, everyone's saying come back, come back. Lewis sort of politely says no, but he got himself some sort of selfie, and really he was just returned to the general public with us, and no penalty. Oftentimes you'll see drivers pass other drivers at that particular point, or drivers and team personnel, and occasionally there'll be a little exchange, a fist bump or a pat on the back. Sometimes they stop and chat for a little bit. Seb, for instance, had a chat with one of his old teammates for a couple of minutes, and he's wont to do that a lot. And I really like that about Seb, is he's not worried about stopping and catching up with people. At this point I'm going to mention that if you're not a member of my channel, you need to be, because right now, if you're a member, you can go to the members tab and you can download 2 of my raw files from yesterday of cars. That's too noisy. You know why that's noisy? Because now we've got cars on track. So we're just going to have to wear this. If you're not a member of the channel, I'm going to urge you to do so, especially if you're a photographer, because you now have access to 2 of my raw files from shooting cars coming out of the tunnel yesterday. You can go and download these files. They're yours. What I want you to do, though, is to edit them. Show me how good you are at editing a raw file, and then send back your edited file to info@kimellman.com, and I'll feature a number of them on an upcoming video. Let's move on to Friday now, and I can tell you that access for us was a lot trickier because we did not have the ability to stand on the track and shoot drivers. Instead, we were resorting to shooting through the fence, over the fence, under the fence. Thankfully, a couple of the drivers arrived by boat, but otherwise driver shots were relatively few and far between. A couple of you have asked, is the Red Bull Energy Station here this year? No, it's not. That's the big floating thing that they normally build in Italy and send down the coast, but Red Bull have no guests, so the paddock's pretty much closed, hence it's not there, which would have made a lot of boat owners happy because those spots were opened up to them. Now the grandstands, yes, they had some fans in it, but you can see here that they put stickers on the seats saying which seats can be sat in. and they're very good at policing that. And for us to have a meal in Monaco, we have to show F1 accreditation or be staying in Monaco and have our temporary Monaco residence pass. If you're from France and you're coming here and think you're going to have a meal here, no, you can't have a meal unless you are local, got the pass or FIA accreditation. And look, if you ever get the chance to come here, you want to. It's a real spectacle. Yes, the accommodation is horrendously expensive in Monaco at this time. Everything's expensive. But if you splash out once in your life, you want to come here and watch a Grand Prix. Perhaps not while COVID's in operation. With that said, thank you for watching this video. Please hit the like button, it helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and become a member if you want to get access to those raw files from the exit of the tunnel yesterday, and I'd love to see your edits. You'll find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com. You can download them for editorial or personal use. You'll find my F1 drivers books with new photos from 2021 in them at kimillman.com, and we send them to almost every country in the world. And the last thing is, come on, think boy, think. Oh, my best pictures live from the track and during the week at Instagram at kimillman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. Does that noise bother you with the siren? Shut up. Right. 6 hours of editing to come.